Hey guys, so today we are getting the homestead ready to leave. There's kind of a common myth that people think if you have a lot of livestock or you're running a farm that you can't ever take vacations and leave, which makes it a little more difficult, but it's not impossible. And I'm really, really excited because this is definitely a trip that's worth taking. It's kind of like, you know, like when you're so excited for something, you're like, is this a dream? Like, is this really happening? Which I have to say have probably been not very many times that I felt like this or had this experience. It's like, oh, let's just pinch ourselves. But we're getting ready because we are leaving to go to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, to Rory Feeks farm. So he is a Grammy Award winning singer, and I'm gonna be teaching on his homestead at his farm for the Homesteaders of America's spring conference. So the event is already sold out. Not only do I get to travel, which is really exciting because when I grew up, I had never flown until I was an adult. We didn't travel. Like, my dad has never been on an airplane. My mom's only flown once. Like, traveling places was just not something that we experienced. So just getting to fly across the country, I'm excited about it, but the fact that I get to be teaching homesteading, teaching gardening and people how to raise their own food on this, I have to like fangirling out, country music stars homestead, like I am super excited. It feels like the opportunity of a lifetime. So I'm very, very excited for that, but that is also why we're getting everything prepped and ready because we're gonna be gone and we need to make sure everything is taken care of here. So I thought that I would share what we were doing to get ready. And we do this even if we're going on camping trips, you know, shorter trips where we're not actually going to be out of the state, so that you can see that, yes, you can still be gone and do overnight trips, even if you have livestock. So with the chickens, I need to move them onto fresh pasture regardless, but especially I want them moved right as we're getting ready to leave because we do have people that will still keep an eye on our place because we're going to be gone for more than just a night or two. But I definitely want to get them on green pasture. And because of the way we have our coop set up here, the only way that I can move this is either with a four-wheeler or with a tractor. I like to think I'm pretty tough, but there is no way I'm moving this thing by hand. So let's get this pulled forward. We've only got 3 chickens in here, and I normally only just fill the one water, but when you're gonna be gone on vacation, obviously food and water, especially water, is even more important than food. And so I like to have all of the waters doubled up and completely filled. And I know based upon, even if the weather's hot, I know because we're always out with the animals, right? I'm the one watering them. I know how much water they'll go through in a normal period. So I know if I have both of these filled all the way up with water for that coop with just the 3 chickens, they won't even need water. They'll still need to be checked because sometimes, you know, things can leak or break, like you just never know. But whoever we have taking care of the homestead while we're gone won't actually have to water that coop. And I'll also fill up their food and they won't really have to be doing that either. So if you can get extra waters, get that with fresh water, set up, it's going to be really helpful. And like this one I don't normally even use, it's just hanging from the last time we were gone in there, so I'll get this rinsed out and filled up too. So if we're just leaving for like a night or two, we don't usually even have someone come over for the chickens. Like if we're just gonna be gone overnight, I just make sure everything is topped off and filled really well and they'll be fine. But if you're gonna be gone longer than that, you really do want someone to come and check just because things happen you just can't anticipate. So it's good to have feet on the ground, eyes on the property. But I like to make it as easy as possible for whoever is taking care of the animals, and for them to have to do as little work as possible, because they're usually just doing it. You could hire a house sitter, but we have so much family around. We're very fortunate for that. It's usually a family member. They get the fresh eggs. They do like that part. But I like to try to just keep it easy on them. Watch out, guys. And I prefer to keep the chickens just with full food so that they really don't ever run out. So I filled this up yesterday. Well, I didn't fill it up yesterday. They don't go through that much, but they had food from yesterday. But I'm gonna go ahead and just top this off. And I have another feeder, but I have to get another hook put into the coop. We prefer to have everything hanging because obviously when you see me moving it, if it's hanging, I don't have to get in and move stuff, with just the whole coop moves. But the other reason that we like to keep things hanging is, one, the chickens don't seem to poop in it or spill or make a mess if it's hanging. But two, if you have any rodent problems, if it's hanging, not that a rat couldn't figure its way to climb up and get in there, but we feel like it helps cut down on mice and rat problems if the food isn't on the ground and it's actually up hanging. Now, the nice thing about leaving in the springtime is all of the grass in the pasture is starting to grow and we're no longer having to feed hay. So for the cattle, it's just making sure they have fresh water. And we actually have an area out back that it does dry up almost all the way in summertime, in late summer, but during the spring, there's plenty of fresh water back there. We'll also make sure that any of their troughs and tubs are all filled up and someone checks on that. But it's really nice because really there's not a lot of day-to-day work for the livestock this time of year. So I know that not everybody is at a point where you can raise all of your own meat yet. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, one, if we actually sell our meat and people could order it from us. And unfortunately, we're not that big and I'm not set up to do that. But one of the next best options is, I have found, and this video is sponsored by them, it's sponsored by Butcherbox, but I actually was excited to try Butcherbox. So they first contacted me and asked if they could send me some of their products. And I thought, we really raise all of our own meat. Like, I don't really think that I need any. But they had seafood too. And even though we catch all of our own crabs, so if you've watched that video where we go crabbing and we have fish, there's different seafood that we're not able to find easily that's wild caught and is harvested sustainably and ethically. So I was really excited to get some of their lobster meat as well as their halibut. It has been years since I have had halibut, which was really, really good. But I also wanted to taste test and try out the difference in their grass-fed and grass-finished pasture-raised beef. So they sent me a package. I got ground beef, we got steaks. I even got some pork chops and sausage so that I could try it against our pork, which I have not had a chance to try that yet. The seafood was excellent, and we had ribeye steaks, which were really, really good. I also have another cut of steaks here that we got from them. This is the top sirloin steak that I have not had a chance to try yet. But it was really funny because the delivery guy, the way they send it out is they look at how far you are from where they're shipping it, because they contract out with a bunch of small farmers who don't always have a clientele based, but they have excellent and they adhere to really good standards, which is very important to me. So they look at where you live from where they're shipping and decide whether or not they need to use dry ice. So for mine, they weren't using dry ice, but I don't think the delivery guy knew how far out we really live from civilization, because he didn't get to our house until 7:30 at night, bless his heart. So he gives me my box, and I was a little nervous because I knew it had been in the van all day long. But I was highly impressed. I opened it up, there was not any dry ice in there, but it was so well packaged, everything was still frozen solid. So the steaks were great. We really didn't tell any difference in the steaks that we have tried between our beef and their beef. But what was interesting is their grass-fed ground beef that I got was not quite as bright red as ours. It was still very good color, but ours is a brighter red. And theirs was leaner, which isn't a bad thing. But it didn't have as much liquid, and I noticed it was leaner. But as far as taste and texture goes, nobody knew any difference with the meatballs. Like, I didn't tell the kids it wasn't our beef, and they couldn't tell any difference, and I really couldn't either. So very happy with the quality. And the awesome thing is, Butcherbox is doing right now, so if you use my link, which I'll have beneath the video, you'll get through May 31st, they are doing a barbecue bundle. So you will get, for new customers with your first order, this will all be added free to your box. So you're gonna get, for new customers with your first box, they will add to that New York strips and grass-fed burgers, as well as drumsticks, all free to your box through May 31st.
It's an excellent deal to snag. And if you're interested in raising your own cattle, then you're gonna wanna make sure that you stay with me for these tips. And who doesn't love to look at a field full of happy cows?
So next, we want to make sure that I've got both of the big troughs filled for the cows of water, which we'll actually be letting them back into this pasture. They haven't been on this, so they haven't been drinking out of this, but I need to kind of flush it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put the hose in there and let that flush out for a little bit. We've been rotating, so we haven't had them on this pasture or that pasture over there. They've been on the back pasture. They actually are back there, and they're hanging out right over there. So we have been saving this area, so we will rotate them right onto this pasture, like right before we leave. So they have plenty of fresh green grass, and then we'll also be making sure that, like I said, these are fleshed out and topped off, and they will go through this trough in a day, especially if which this is an old cast iron bathtub that we have had forever. It's not a clawfoot, or it would be in my house. But this has been the water trough here on this property for decades. Actually, when I was little, I would go swimming in this, except it was when my dad ran cattle on this field. And the cows would stand around because he didn't rotate pastures like we do. So there was a lot of cow poop. Let's just put it this way. There was a lot of cow poop around the watering trough. And when you're going swimming, you are barefoot. At least I am. And so I came in the house because I didn't really ask. I didn't know if I was supposed to really swim in the cow's trough, but you know, I was a farm kid, so you just kind of do things. Well, I came back in the house and my mom was like, she's like, you stink. What have you been doing? Like, it wasn't mud just around the cow trough. It was cow poop. And I smelled, even though you couldn't see it on me. So I had to go take a bath, and I was told that I was not allowed to go swimming in the cow's trough anymore because I smelled too bad afterwards. So anyways, I need to get an automatic water on this because they will go through this entire tub in one day, especially if it's hot out. So if I have the automatic water on here, obviously it will keep filling it up. But again, you don't ever really want to rely on those systems 100%. You still want someone coming and checking because things can happen. So I'm going to get this one flushed out here a little bit better. Obviously, you can't find a bunch of old cast iron tubs like this, or at least we can't very easily. So we also have one of these here that will also fill up. And this actually holds more water than that one. So we'll get this one filled up, and that will definitely last them for a couple of days. And then we'll keep the automatic water on just one of the troughs and still have people coming down and checking. If you want to know more about the requirements for raising a year's worth of your own meat, including pigs, chickens, and of course beef cattle, go and check out this video.